Hello, and welcome to the 2024 Annual Meeting Update. I'm Lee Peacock, the newly elected president. At this time, I would like to introduce the members of the board, starting with the Executive Committee, followed by the members of the board representing the regions. Serving as Vice President is Trudy Pohawpatchoko, Secretary Christene Thurston, Treasurer Sherri Hagar, Director of Bylaws, Vicki Swerdlow, Director of Membership and Marketing, Gibson, and Director of Education, Deb Berger. Okay. And now I would like to introduce members of the board representing the different regions. From Carolinas regions, Gail Smith. From Great Lakes region, Sue Coller. From Greater Pacific region, Robin Berry. From Heartland region, Deborah Powell. From Metropolitan region, Maria Hall. Mid-Atlantic region, Donna Pence. New England region, Patricia Berry. Pacific Southwestern region, Mary Bangs. Rocky Mountain region, Joanna Lord. South Central region, Judy McGraw. Sun region, Teresa Brewer. And Tennessee Valley region, Marjorie Sink. And also with us today are members of our staff, Brad Cape, our Executive Director, and Rand Duran, Digital Operations Director. So at this time, I'd like to move right into our officer reports, beginning with our immediate past president, Karen Hamilton.
Thank you, Lee. Appreciate it. It's nice to see everyone today. And thank you all for watching our annual update. We did have our board meetings at the recent seminar in Atlanta, and everything went really well. We had the significant decisions and announcements. And this included the dissolution of two chapters, the Morris chapter in the Metropolitan region and the Northwoods chapter in the Heartland region. Those dissolutions were approved as the chapters had completed all the paperwork they needed to do. We announced that the vote by the membership on the changes to the national bylaws passed. We also approved officers for the 2027 National Seminar Committee. And finally, we approved a motion to relocate EGA headquarters and to authorize the signature of a lease on a new space. Brad will be able to give us more information on this exciting news a little bit later in this presentation. We did have 4 outgoing region directors who were acknowledged for their service. Mary Bangs from Pacific Southwestern region, Tricia Berry from the New England region, Robin Berry from the Greater Pacific region, and Joanna Lord from the Rocky Mountain region will all be rolling off the board by the end of this year. We also had 4 outgoing members of the executive committee. Those included myself, Pam Coller, who was treasurer, Wendy Lynn, the director of membership and marketing, and Valerie, the director of education. And we thank each of them for their service. While we were at seminar, we also held our annual meeting, and it was a great session with many members in attendance. We were very excited to announce that 1,120 members had voted in the recent voting for the new officers and national directors, as well as for the bylaws updates. All the national officers and directors were elected, all 4, and the updates to the bylaws were approved, as I mentioned. We also held the installation ceremony for our new officers and directors. So Lee, Sherri, Deb, and Ina were duly installed in their new positions. The outgoing officers and directors presented reports on the activities during the 2024 year to date. And we also answered questions from the audience. The scholarship and awards program for 2024 had several award winners. The Mary Digg Scholarship went to Heather Kiko Long. Heather is in the Oatlands chapter of the Mid-Atlantic region. Rosemarie Depp from Cyber Stitches in the Tennessee Valley region won the Penny Evans Scholarship. The Research Fellowship Grant was awarded to Erin Moody and Christy Beatty from the Marin Golden Threads chapter, that greater Pacific region. And then the Jenny Morrow Scholarship was awarded to Connie Miller from the Charlotte chapter in the Carolinas region. Congratulations to all these scholarship winners. We did have a couple of scholarships that were not awarded simply because there were no applicants. So I really encourage everyone to apply for these scholarships. I think of it as free money, and it certainly is helping to expand on our mission of education. We also announced the Gold Thread winners for the regions while at seminar. Janet Noble from Carolinas, Kathy Swerdlow from the Great Lakes region, Nelson Lewis from the Greater Pacific region, the Heartland region, Rebecca Leeser, Metropolitan region, Pat Conway, Kathy Weigel representing the Mid-Atlantic region, Gay Smith from the South Central region, Jan Clark from the Sun region, and from Tennessee Valley, Jenny James. And we were very pleased to award the National Gold Thread to Janet Noble from the Carolinas region. Congratulations, Janet, on a well-deserved recognition and award. Finally, I'd like to just take this time as an opportunity to really express my heartfelt thanks and appreciation to the tireless executive committee team, the very accomplished group of region directors with whom I worked, the many dedicated volunteers who worked on the Securing Our Future initiative, and our talented headquarters staff for the support and friendship I've experienced these past 3 years. Serving as your EGA president has been an inspiring, fulfilling, and yet sometimes challenging opportunity, but I wouldn't change a minute of it. My heartfelt gratitude goes to all the EGA members who have provided ongoing support and encouragement throughout my term. I know that I'm going to miss being in the thick of things, but it's certainly time for the new team to step forward and lead EGA into its bright future. I will enjoy watching the growth and success from the sidelines, knowing that our beloved organization is in good hands. Thank you again for the honor and privilege of having served EGA as your president. I would now like to hand things off to our new president, Lee Peacock.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to share with everyone how pleased I am to be serving these next 3 years as president of the Embroiderers Guild. And I would like to invite each and every one of you who may have a suggestion or an idea to please contact me at president@egausa.org. And I look forward to the next 3 years serving you as president. And we're going to move on to Trudy for your report.
Thank you, Lee. The vice president has oversight over the 12 regions, and Karen's already named off the 4 region directors will be rolling off at the end of this year. We did determine that the purpose of the regions is to support the chapters with communication, leadership, and education. So we're working on that to help the chapters and grow. I'm also responsible for and have oversight of a national seminar committee. It's a wonderful group of people that I have learned to work with in this last year. and just really have enjoyed it. Lori Welker is the National Seminar Director. Gay Smith is coming in as the Deputy Director. Sean Miller is the Registrar, and she will be handing off to Elizabeth Slomba next year. Elizabeth is the Registrar-elect, and so we've got a learning session going on. And then Joyce Furry-Sievers is the National Seminar Treasurer. The next 4 seminars that we have in progress or planned or finished since 2024 finished. That was there in Atlanta, hosted by Lynette Matan. 2025 is in Dallas. Needlework Fair, hosted by Joy Cobb. 2026 is Wish Upon a Stitch. That's hosted by the Sun Region, and Debbie Talley is the seminar chair. I said that wrong. And 2027 is PSR, hosted by PSR, and Pam Brummett is the seminar chair. So we're looking forward to those seminars coming up. This is just a summary of the 2024 seminar. It's as of 7/31, so it's not the final numbers from the seminar. Those will be out next month. But we had a great time with everyone there. We did the virtual classes, we introduced stitching time, and we introduced pop-up shops. So that was a lot of fun. For 2025, it's called Needlework Fair in Dallas, again, hosted by South Central Region and Joy Cobb as the seminar chair. They have their teachers selected with 4 international and then 2 virtual classes, 37 on-site classes, and four virtual classes by the 2 teachers. Registration opens on September 10th. I'm looking forward to it. It was a lot of fun to see the samples in Atlanta last week. So Through the Needle's Eye, we debuted the exhibit last year in Boston and had a wonderful time. The virtual galleries are still open for viewing. The link is on the EGA website. The page has been viewed over 8,000 times, which is fantastic. We've provided more than 30 virtual docent-led tours for almost 1,000 people in the last 12 months. Those are still available. If you would like to schedule that for your region or chapter, please contact Carol Overton. And then the T&E committee is in the final stages of updating their guidelines and getting that ready for the next committee, which hopefully we'll have news about in the next year. And the last thing I have is Securing Our Future. I was on the PMO team and took over the structure team. So we worked on the checklists for chapter formation and chapter dissolution and chapter satellite formation. We streamlined the region roles. Those are still in process. And then we sent several recommendations to the executive committee, which they are acting or have acted upon. A couple of them on there, you'll notice we're on Karen's list, the looking at other properties for headquarters and hiring an executive director, Mr. Brad Cape. And I think I hand this off to Christene next.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Trudy. And most of my responsibilities are centered around meetings. So I do record the meetings for the annual and mid-year board meetings and planning meetings, and then the regular executive committee, personnel, and finance committee meetings. Additionally, I'm responsible for recording and processing any motions that require ratification by the EC and the full board. And we have between sessions motions, which are motions that are addressed by email. And this is for the purpose of conducting the business of EGA on a continuing and timely basis in between the times of the annual and mid-year meetings. Between January 1st and June 30th of this year, there were a total of 39 motions that were addressed by the EC and/or the full board and they were addressed either in person, by Zoom, or via email. So the subjects of these motions range from approving the minutes of meetings to be sure that we have a trustworthy and accurate recording of the decisions that are made during our meetings. We also have motions to appoint national committee chairs and members. Resumes for candidates are distributed to the board. They have an opportunity to review the resumes, and then the appointments are made. We also use motions to authorize the president to sign contracts. Most of those contracts have to do with the national seminars. Our National Seminar Committee reviews all contracts first for the seminars, and then the contracts are sent over to the board and distributed, and the board has an opportunity to review the contracts and ask any questions or ask clarification before we approve the president signing for those contracts. All of these motions are really imperative to sustaining the overall integrity of EGA as an organization. We follow Robert's Rules of Order, and I know everybody's familiar with Robert's Rules of Order, for protocol at our meetings and for recording the minutes. And we have a parliamentarian for our annual and mid-year meetings, and she is there as a resource and a reference if we have a question about a proper way to go about handling any item on the agenda. Board meeting minutes are available to any EGA member for review. Go to the EGA website, egausa.org. Enter your member information and look for member documents and look for document downloads. And then on the left side of the screen, there's a box that will have topics that you can scroll through, find EGA business, and then you can select whatever document you wanted to review. If you wanted to reach me, I am secretary at egausa.org. Thank you so much. And now we're going to have a financial report, and Karen Hamilton is going to report for our outgoing treasurer, Pam Coller.
Unfortunately, Pam was not able to be with us today, but she asked me to report that one of her major focuses has been on finding ways to increase revenue and decrease expenses to help reduce our budgeted deficit. And we're very pleased to announce that over the past 3 years, we have been able to reduce that budgeted deficit by 75%, which is very significant. An additional focus for Pam has been serving on the online dues payments development team. Despite a few hiccups along the way, the new process has been very successful. 89% of 2024 renewals were submitted online with very few issues. The goal is to get to 95% or better as the years go on. And we want to thank all members who use the online method to pay the dues. And please encourage and help your friends and other members who are not paying online yet, so that we can get that higher percentage of folks paying online next year. But we do appreciate your efforts to support this new process. And then we will go to our incoming treasurer, Sherri Hagar.
Thank you, Karen. I'm so new to this position that I don't have an update. I just want to introduce myself and say how pleased I am to serve EGA as treasurer. We have a wonderful board, and I look forward to working with them as we continue to seek new revenue streams and reduce expenses going forward. I'd like to encourage any chapter or region treasurer to contact me with any accounting, finance, or tax questions you may have. I'd love to help. My email is treasurer@egausa.org. Thank you. And now Vicki Swerdlow, our Director of Bylaws.
Thank you, Sherri. I'm going to speak briefly about what the charge is for the bylaws work, what we did in the last 6-8 months, and what I'm expecting we're going to work on between now and the end of the year. So the title speaks for itself. I am responsible for making sure that our national bylaws are updated. Below the bylaws are other documents that we use to govern the organization and run the organization. Those would include our national policies and procedures, and those regularly need to be updated also. In addition, those of you involved with chapters and regions know that once every 10 years, we come knocking at your door and say, it's time to update your chapter or region bylaws. I am the reference point when we don't have a parliamentarian in-house to make sure that we follow parliamentary procedure. And I also am making sure that the who's who, your list of the contact names, email addresses, other contact information for the national leadership are available to you on the website. And then finally, as Sherri just suggested, I answer questions. Any EGA member can contact me about anything listed above. So in the last 6 months, the most important thing to report was that the national bylaws were amended by membership vote. And I'll add my thanks to those that Karen already expressed, to the 1,000 plus members who took the time to vote, and especially to the handful who wrote to me with specific questions. I really appreciate the fact that the membership generally is paying attention, and that specific members are paying very close attention because the bylaws are important. The National Policies Manual would be the next level down of documents that govern our organization. It is 125 pages, and it was recently amended by board vote to reflect the changes that had been made to the bylaws by the membership and other changes that were needed for operations. In addition, the bylaws of 2 regions and 2 chapters were either updated or amended. Most importantly, Pacific Southwestern region is underway for its decennial, once every 10-year update of its bylaws. And my thanks go to the bylaws chairs of all of those chapters and of the region itself for working with the chair of the Chapter Region Bylaws Review Committee, Sue Andrews, who takes on the mammoth work of actually making sure that every T is crossed and I is dotted. Below the bylaws and the policies are the procedures and what we call the ancillary documents, specific documents about how to do things, the best way to do things in EGA. We are continuing to work through those documents. There's more than 450 of them. And we're also working to make sure that the documents that you need doing your work in the field, whether it's at the chapter, the region, or the national level, are accurate and current. And of course, I answered questions from the field. Some of them are straightforward. Where can I find an update copy of Robert's Rules of Order? Some of them get pretty complex. How to make the best decision between a member who wishes to change things in our organization and other members who wish to keep them the same. What is the appropriate process for working through those discussions? I always enjoy those questions from the field, and again, I urge you to contact me. So looking ahead for the next 4 months of the year, I'm expecting that we will wrap up the Pacific Southwestern region decennial bylaws updates. Those, as I said, are well underway. We are continuing to work on refinement of those P&Ps, the policies and procedures. And the priorities that come up next are updating the job descriptions, again, at all levels, national, region, chapter, bringing procedures into alignment with the revised policies that we've just approved, and most importantly, finding a better document storage system. 450 documents don't exist by themselves. They are all interconnected, and we want to find the most efficient method for making sure that those are well stored and accessible to everybody. So I'm looking forward to working with Brad and Rand and Tanya, and perhaps even Lily, to put that system in place at headquarters. And I'll be looking for more questions from the field. That is my report, and I'm now passing it over to Val Reece, the immediate past Director of Education.
Thank you, Vicki. As you can see, the Education Department offers a variety of programs, and these programs are designed to provide different types of learning experiences for you. When you select a project, please read the description carefully, and during my presentation, I will highlight the differences between them. There are a lot of volunteers who run the education department programs. Here are some who take care of special jobs. Ellie Ames is the outgoing exhibit chair. Karen Schuler is the Fiber Forum president. And Brad Cape loves our collections and library. So in addition to his job as EGA executive director, he is working on the collections and library. EGA certification programs teach you how to do these jobs. If you are interested, please see the EGA website for details on the course of study. Thank you to Cheryl, Pat, and Carol for leading these programs for many years. Let's look at two education department offerings that do not have teachers and do not have classes. The first offering is the Master Craftsman program. There are 8 of these, and I've listed them all here. Catherine Jordan is the coordinator. And these are different from regular classes in that you are expected to know how to follow the instructions and know the techniques before you start one of the programs. The reality is that you will probably encounter something unfamiliar to you, and it is your responsibility to do the research to figure it out. Each program has its own chair. There are 6 steps or projects in each program, and you can find step 1 for each program on the EGA website. Read step 1 to see if this program is for you. For those who belong to a chapter, ask the chapter members if anyone has completed or even started a Master Craftsman program. Yeah, there are more of us who've started than have completed, but we're out there. The second offering that has no teacher and no classes is the Technical Excellence Program. We have one program available right now in Counted Thread. Coming soon is the Crewel Embroidery Program. These programs are very much like I described for the Master Craftsman. However, there are only 4 steps. For Counted Thread, you can find step 1 on the EGA website. Our publications area is responsible for the petite projects. Carol Renard is the outgoing chair of that. We have some new ones. We have Introduction to Jacobean Crewel by Leslie Brady. We have the Poppy Needle Nanny Minder by Lorna Bateman, and we have Margaret Kinsey's Golden Circle. Remember, these are all at the beginner level. The first one is Crewel, the second one is Raised Work, and the third one is Silk and Metal. Also in the publications area, you're going to find some things you may not be familiar with. The first item, the Little Book of Embroidery Basics, a little book of embroidery basics, even tells you how to strand floss and how to thread a needle. So if you have a friend who's brand new to embroidery and you don't quite figure out how to tell them how to do those things, let them take a look at your little book of embroidery basics and see if that helps. Further down the list, we have technique basics, which are introductions to a number of different embroidery techniques. These are intended for new stitchers or someone new to the technique so that you can learn more about it. Group correspondence courses and lightning rounds have Judy Herrick as their outgoing chair. These courses are different from the others in that all of your instructions come in printed or hard copy, and you have a group leader if you're taking the group correspondence course. If you are looking for people to fill your group, you might start off by putting a message on the EGA Facebook page. If you are taking this as a lightning round and want to find other people who are also taking it for a lightning round, send a note to Rand and he will put you in touch with other people who might be interested in making a group, or at least a place where you can talk to each other. Individual correspondence courses are classes where it's one student and one teacher. This is a very intense, in-depth look at a topic. Please read the descriptions of these carefully so that you know what you're getting into. There is often some design work included and some research work included. Silk and metal thread embroidery is handled by Case Stannis, for example. Online studio classes, headed up by Solveig Wallstrom. These, every month you get a different class. It's offered for sign up for about a month, and the instructions are released as PDFs to you online per the schedule indicated by the teacher. So this is piecemealed out to you. There is an EGA online forum where you can ask questions, and you just work this at your own pace if you want to, but most of the questions are going to follow the pace that the teacher has set. Virtual education courses, these are offered via Zoom or something similar to Zoom. The directions either come to you via PDF or are printed out, depending on what the teacher has decided they want to do. A kit may or may not be required. The teacher makes that determination, and sometimes we will have one where you have to buy the full kit, and other times we will have a course where it is a complete stash buster. Please read the description carefully. Please do not make any assumptions about how this is going to come to you. It should all be written out and for you to read. Kathleen Weston is the chair of that. The virtual lecture series, Mary Van Tyne is the retiring chair of that. She has been running this for 3 years. These are the next items to come up. She has some planned into next year. And that is the end of the offerings for the education department. Let's hear from Deb Berger, who is the incoming director of education.
Thank you, Val. It is my honor to be taking this over. There is a lot to learn. And I'm so new that I'm still learning. But it's good to meet everyone, and I am available by phone or email if anyone has questions. And I don't know who I'm supposed to turn this over to. Oh, Wendy. Wendy Lynn, you're
Thank you, Deb. So I'm the outgoing director of membership and marketing, and today I'm going to talk about securing our future initiatives, and then the strategy that we have in place for social media and our virtual presence. And finally, we'll talk about some membership results. So securing our future initiatives in 2024, one of the primary foci that we had was making the EGAUSA.org navigation easier. So over the last year and a half, a new server has been put in use, a dedicated server for EGA. We've changed some of the titles on our web pages for more intuitive navigation. We've improved navigation in education and resources. And I should mention that this is done in connection with education. So Reece, we worked with Reece on this. And we've also updated the frequently asked questions on the EGA website. We have more frequently asked questions on our website than the Boy Scouts have on theirs. So just saying, we tried to clean them up as much as possible. We also spent time reviewing EGA's presence on the internet for chapters and regions, and had a massive project actually auditing all the chapter and region websites for EGA. In February, I reported the results of those audits to the region directors, and they've probably gone back to some of the chapters to look at how we can make it more efficient. At the time of the annual meeting, we were auditing chapter meeting info on EGAUSA.org. So here's one of the things that people don't understand. If you have a chapter website and a region website, you also have an EGA USA website. And the information doesn't automatically flow from one of those to the other. So whenever any information changes, we really need to make sure that it changes in every location that meeting info exists. And in the future, I know that annually the chapters report who the new officers are in their chapter. The form that you'll complete is being updated by headquarters so that you're also verifying that the time, date, and location of your meetings hasn't changed. Our team also provided tools for creating logos and websites. We've got a template for a chapter logo that's very easy to implement. We also had created a website template and updated the information on what you need to have a good EGA compliant website in your chapter and region. We communicated this template at the Growing Your Chapter webinar that we had in March. And I'll talk about Growing Your Chapter webinars momentarily. Okay, so we had a strategy for 2024 in social media that was separate from our Securing Our Future, although it's also intimately intertwined. It's hard to separate these things out. You may know, I hope you know, and are registered to receive updates from the EGA blog, from the EGA Facebook page, from our Instagram page, and Pinterest. One of the new things is that we started creating images specifically for Pinterest and managing those images. So Pinterest is one of those evergreen social media websites, and we think that things can live out there for a long time and be very meaningful. We started an IDEA interview series, which stands for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility. We also started an Embroidery Techniques Around the World series. We continue with our EGA Stitch Along Facebook page, including events, which are posting opportunities for chapters and regions. We continue to sponsor Fiber Talk, which is a podcast that appears twice a week, and it's hosted by Gary Parr. We started print and virtual ads in a very limited kind of way, and we started implementing YouTube Shorts. The YouTube Shorts in 2024, every month we're releasing a new YouTube Short. In January, we talked about the benefits of EGA membership. In February, how you could join chapters directly. In March, we did a Push for National Seminar in Atlanta. April, young adult and youth memberships were explained. In May, updating your profile and renewing online were discussed. And in June, we presented virtual lectures. July, free projects and patterns. And August, we talked about group correspondence classes and lightning rounds. So what these are just little blips that give you a more in-depth view of what your membership is like with EGA. And here's a preview for you. In September, we will be talking about the national seminar in Dallas and the classes that are being offered there. Okay, new social media included embroidery techniques from around the world. In February, we discussed Hardanger. In March, Sashiko. April, German Schwalm. In May, Richelieu. In June, Colcha embroidery. In July, goldwork. And in August, to trees. Our Growing Your Chapters webinar. So this is an opportunity for us to have a webinar where we specifically talk about how to recruit and retain members in your EGA chapters, hence Growing Your Chapter. And these are all on the EGA USA website as recordings. So in January 2024, we talked about recruiting. February 2024, online special interest groups, that's for retention. March 2024, chapter websites, how to create your website again. I talked about that on one of our Securing Our Future initiatives. In April 2024, we let people walk through what it's like to renew your membership on egausa.org. In June 24, we talked about social media, specifically Facebook. In July 24, we showed you how to use Canva to upgrade your online look for both recruiting new members and retaining members. In August, this actually has been rescheduled. We will be addressing social media on Instagram at our October meeting. And in September 2024, we will have no program. We're taking a month off for the end of the summer. So recordings for the offerings that we've had, the webinars that we've had, are on egausa.org. Just enter Growing Your Chapter in the search bar on the upper right-hand side of the homepage, and you can listen to any one of these. We try to keep them to about an hour in length. So please take advantage of them. Okay, we also started special interest groups over the last several years, and these are online for the most part. We have 2 in Circus Embroidery. One meets on the second Sunday of the month. The other meets on the third Saturday of the month. We have one in Beading, which meets on Thursday evenings once a month. One that meets on Crazy Quilting once a month on a Sunday. There are 2 in Goldwork, but those are really at the chapter level. So you might, if you're interested in Goldwork, you can let us know. We also, Val mentioned, if you're signing up for a lightning round, what we've done in some cases is for a specific lightning round class, had Rand send an email to people to see if any of them wanted to meet on Zoom, assuming that we have a person who's willing to host those Zoom meetings. And we've walked through a lightning round almost as if it's a group correspondence course. And of course, chapters and regions are using Zoom in a special interest group to go through group correspondence courses. Okay, the important thing, how is our membership doing? We found that the online new memberships are a boost to chapters, where previously people would have to contact a chapter, find out about the chapter dues from the chapter contact, and they're really eager to join EGA right away. Well, what's happening is people go out to become a member, they get to the online membership page, and they can find out which chapter is close to them right away. Another good reason for making sure your meeting times and locations are correct. And what we're hearing from chapters is they're getting new members that they didn't know were even out in the Ethernet. So people are seeing growth in chapters to chapter membership as a result of the new online membership system. Thank you, Pam Coller and the finance people. And thank you especially to the headquarter people. What we found out is that we have 608 new members from January to July 31st. I don't have an August number right now, of which 76% are chapter members and 24% are members at large. This is exactly the opposite of what we were saying before we went on to the online membership payment. About 3/4 of the new members were members at large. So thank you again for paying those chapter dues online. Next page. Okay. So total membership results, and it's a little difficult for us to report membership because everybody was renewing at one time until this year. All renewals were as of May 31st of a year. So the best way for us to look at what our membership, our highest membership was as of May 31st of every year. And what we see is that since 2020, we've remained, well, we dropped originally after the pandemic, but we've remained relatively stable since 2020. And we saw a big increase in membership in 2024 to 9,217 members. However, every July, every June, July, we would see a drop off, and that wouldn't normally stabilize until the beginning of the following year. But let's see how we did in 2024 compared to 2021. We saw a decrease of members as of July, and there's a decrease in members every July. So we're hoping that this will improve. We did anticipate for budgeting purposes that we would see about a 15% reduction in membership, in part because of the dues increase and in part because of the online dues payment. I will say that we have surveyed all of our members who did not renew. Last year, we surveyed 2021 and 2022. This way, this year we surveyed 2023 and 2024. We're still going through those survey results, and we'll be reporting to the region directors and the executive committee on those within the near future. I know Ina Gibson will be doing that. So, I talked about this a little bit. We historically see a drop of between 11 and 12% of members in July. For budgeting purposes, we anticipated a 15% decrease. People have refused to renew in some cases because they didn't want to pay dues online. You can always send in a check to headquarters. Headquarters will take your money. And we're currently analyzing feedback on the survey. And over time, when we move away from the common renewal date, we think we'll see a more stable picture of what's happening with membership. Okay, I had a wish list as I leave this position. First of all, I have received so much support from our members, from the wonderful folks who serve on my committees. I hope that everybody will support the work of Ina Gibson, our incoming Director of Membership and Marketing. I'd love for branding purposes that the current EGA logo is used everywhere, out in public. If you're in a Stitch in Public Day, make sure the new EGA logo is with you. In your chapter and region logo, let's get those things updated to include the current EGA logo on your website, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page. Current EGA logo everywhere. My last wish is that we be ever kind. Please break down your stitching clicks. I know that we see this on every survey to lapsed members. People leave EGA because it's too cliquish, nobody talks to me, people aren't nice to me. It isn't the overwhelming majority of people, but it's a significant enough number where we really have to pay attention to how we treat others. Take time to interact with all members of your chapter. You know, too often I see a chapter meeting that is half business meeting, and then let's maybe take a bio break and have a snack and then jump right into a program. Maybe one of your programs has to be getting to know one another better. I like to have everybody at the beginning of the meeting reintroduce themselves, unless you have like 125 people at your meeting, in which case it could use up your entire meeting time. But too often, especially in small to medium meetings, you don't know who the other people are. A new person comes in and you say, oh, Wendy's a new member. Wendy, tell us about yourself. And I do. And then no one else tells me about themselves. So take time to interact with everybody in the chapter. Finally, please let your social posts be supportive ones. If you have a gripe, please send it to marketing@egausa.org. And thank you for the past 3 years. It's been wonderful. Next, I'm going to introduce the incoming Director of Marketing and Membership, Ina Gibson.
Hi, I am so grateful to be able to serve with all these fine people on this new board. It's an exciting time for EGA. I am grateful to have an opportunity to give back for everything I have received from EGA. And I'm looking forward to the next 3 exciting years. If you have questions, comments about membership or marketing, please remember that I can always be reached at marketing@egausa.org. I look forward to meeting a lot of you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be back at EGA headquarters in this new role of Executive Director and look forward to working with you all. As Karen mentioned in her report, at the most recent Board of Directors meeting, a relocation of headquarters to a new office space was approved. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about that in my time here today. The new location is located still here in Louisville, Kentucky. It's only about a mile from our current office. This move will reduce the square footage of headquarters while still providing ample space for staff and volunteer workspaces, the collection and library, and other core office functions. The most impactful outcome of this move will be a reduction in rent and utilities of about $20,000 per year, and is an important step in reducing overall expenses and working toward a balanced budget. The relocation will happen in October, and the membership will hear more details regarding this from me soon, so stay tuned for more. Thank you.
Okay, with that, let's move into a series of questions that we received from our members. And Brad, I think you're up first.
Okay. So I have several questions here about the new dues process that I am happy to answer and give you some guidance on. First one, Julie from Fairfield County asked, why did National decide it would be a good idea to collect all membership dues and then have to pay them out to chapters and regions? Several factors went into the decision. One priority was eliminating the use of a single renewal date and prorating of dues for new members and late renewals, as the system was confusing for many and inequitable. The trade-off for that change was more work throughout the year to keep headquarters updated or vice versa. From an efficiency standpoint, it made more sense for that work to be done by staff rather than asking chapters to shoulder the burden and leverage technology to simplify the process. I will say, as someone coming in mid-change, this new process is not currently much more efficient or simple than the old way, but we're getting there. There are a lot of moving parts and we are continually improving. Another driver behind this change was the experience of a brand new member to EGA and reducing barriers to joining. We were always able to easily sign up a new member at large online, but there was no efficient way to sign up a new chapter member or convert an existing MAL. Since the new system has been implemented, as you heard from Wendy, we are already starting to see MALs convert to chapter members as they renew, and new members getting chapter information right away. Louise from Orange County asked, when will the National Board ask for and incorporate chapter and region input in the new member dues process? Your constructive feedback is always welcome. You can reach out to me by email at brad@egausa.org or membership manager Tanya Parks at typarks@egausa.org. Kathy from Central Florida and Chain Stitchers asked, will we be getting a full membership list for the chapter? Yes, you'll be getting a full chapter membership list in September instead of just the renewals for August. We're working toward having a full roster available for chapter leadership to access online whenever you need it, updated in real time. We expect that before the end of the year. In the meantime, Tanya will be sending a full membership list monthly. Marion from Indianapolis writes, improve online renewal, allow for changing default chapter. Online renewal is improving and will continue to improve. If you would like to change your primary chapter, you can do so by selecting the new chapter when you renew. If you want to make this change before your renewal date, you will need to contact Tanya Parks and she can help you do this. Christene from Camellia Chapter writes, data breaches are too common. Have a methodology to either call in your payment or mail it in. If you prefer not to pay online, you are welcome to call EGA headquarters to pay over the phone or mail in your information. Thanks for your questions.
Erin, I think the next question is directed to you.
All right. Thank you, Lee, and thank you, Brad. I have several questions from Sherri, also in the Camellia chapter. And the first question that Sherri asked is, what is the large increase in dues being used for? Well, the dues are part of the overall revenue stream for EGA. And our revenue supports all our efforts to service our members and provide quality education, the operations of headquarters, and all the operations necessary to run the business of EGA. The reason that the increase feels large is that we had not increased dues for now. It's been over 15 years and it was way past due, unfortunately, to increase dues. anybody that goes to the grocery store knows how things have continued to rise in price across the board. And so this is our effort to try to keep up with the rising cost of doing business, and also to move EGA closer to having that balanced budget, which is very important to all of us. Shelley's next question was, why is EGA publishing a magazine? It is expensive and a waste of natural resources when an online version could be made available to those who want it. Well, first of all, we do have an online version. It's behind the member login, and it's a great way to quickly flip through the magazine if you don't have a hard copy available. But we have seen in our member surveys that a majority of our members value the printed magazine as one of their most desired member benefits of being a member of EGA. But needless to say, we will continue to evaluate the printed magazine. It's certainly something that we will look at regularly to make sure that it is continued to be valued by our members. Because while it is a large budget item, the interesting part about it is that even if you discontinue the printed version, but still have an online version, you're not doing away with the total cost for the magazine. But I certainly understand the concern about using resources for it. So just know that it will continue to be evaluated as time goes on. And Shelley also asked if there was a way that members could opt out of getting the magazine in a printed form for a reduced membership fee. And I will just punt that one to Ina, and know that she will continue to look at what we offer as benefits and appropriate member dues amounts for the various levels of membership available. All right, I'm going to hand it off to Lee now.
Hey, thank you. I have a question from Susan with Yellow Rose Chapter. I'm a new member and remember a friend telling me about a stash sale each year. Will there be one soon? It is such a fun thing that we do. Susan, this is usually handled in a region seminar. You won't see it at a national seminar. So it will depend upon the region that you're in and what the planning committee has set aside, the time and the space. But it is a fun event. Thanks for your question. Trudy, you're up.
All right, I'm live. Thank you, Lee. I have 3 questions. The first one is from Mary from the Waterfall Glen chapter. She saw the information on the 2025 National Seminar for Dallas in Texas. It was in Your Needle Arts that just came out this month, and was very interested. However, when I saw the costs for 5 days, it's close to $1,000, and then you need to add on airfare and hotel, and it doesn't include kit fees. I love in-person seminars, but this is out of my ability to pay. Is there a way to decrease costs without going virtual? So increasing costs in seminars is a very real concern. It's something we look at each time that we get a seminar committee together. We usually have a region volunteer to host, and then we search for hotels within that region. The hotel expense is probably the largest one on the overall cost of seminar. We have considered shortening the seminar by 1 day, and so not offering as many days classes, which would lower the cost. And maybe we are looking at plans for doing smaller events versus the larger. The seminar does take up space at the hotel, with the rooms for the classes and the ballrooms for the exhibits and the banquets. But we don't use a high percentage of their sleeping rooms. And so that's where you have this trade-off of how many sleeping rooms we have versus how much space we can get from the hotel. and the costs there. And then there's also the food and beverage minimums that you have to meet in that hotel contract. So we are looking at ways that we can decrease the costs. And we'll continue to work on that. The next question is from Georgianne from the Stitchers by the Sea chapter. She's hearing rumors that future national seminars will be virtual rather than in person. So the next 4 seminars, or 3 seminars now, are definitely in person. As I had stated in my report, we're in Dallas, Orlando, and the Pacific Southwestern region. The 2028 seminar is our 70th anniversary seminar. Normally we hold those in Louisville. This year, or as we're getting ready to plan for 2028, we are considering doing that one as virtual because we haven't had a host step up for an in-person seminar, haven't had a host region step up for an in-person seminar. And we thought we would be able to reach a greater number of our members at a more favorable price, going back to Mary's question. We are still in evaluation phase. At this time, we are still hoping to get a volunteer region to continue the in-person seminar. So our planning cycle right now is through 2027. 2028 is where we're looking at. And then as we move through each year, it extends out a year. We know people love coming to the in-person seminars, but we did want to look at a virtual option. And my last question is from Carly from the Inland Empire chapter. She wrote, I heard you are going to be limiting the number of teachers at seminar. Can you address what will be changing? So kind of related to these other 2 questions, attendance at the national seminar continues to decline. We have to plan for the fewer number of people that we can comfortably expect. It goes back to that hotel contract, the number of room nights, the amount of space needed. As we consume fewer and fewer sleeping rooms, we have to shrink the space required for the seminar. And then with the first come, first serve registration, it makes sense to offer the number of classes we think we can fill versus offering a higher number of classes and then having to cancel ones with low enrollment. So seminar 2023 had 24 in-person teachers. 2024 had 19 in-person teachers. 2025 currently has 18 scheduled at this time, and 2026 and 2027 are planned for 15 teachers. That was the last question I had. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to me at vp@egausa.org. And I'm going to turn it over to Val.
Thank you, Trudy. My first question is from Yvonne, a member at large from the Tennessee Valley region. The question is, was smocking dropped from the EGA because SAGA exists? SAGA is the smocking and something association. I know what it is. SAGA is the national smocking group. Thank you for asking. I smocked my first garment when I was 12. I still smock for special people, 2 daughters and 1 granddaughter. Answer, EGA has not dropped smocking. We no longer offer a master craftsman in smocking because the number of people interested in that program dropped to 0, with the last one finishing this year. Given that, Kim Sanders asked us to drop the program. On your part, if you are interested in finding other people interested in smocking, you could start a special interest group for EGA smockers. Thank you, Wendy, for presenting that information earlier today. This was not pre-planned for the rest of you. There is also a resource for you on how to start a special interest group on egausa.org. Again, thank you, Wendy, for highlighting the video, Growing Your EGA Chapter webinar, February 2024, special interest groups. So yes, we are not one unit here, but we do communicate well and we do take advantage of what other people tell us. So Yvonne, I hope you get a smocking group going, and with a renewed interest, we would probably, we would be able to offer master craftsmen if we had enough people interested. When the interest goes to 0, we just stop offering it. It doesn't mean it can't come back. And yes, smocking is still a part of EGA. We haven't abolished smocking. The next question is from Christene, a member of the Camellia chapter. It's not really a question, it's a comment. Virtual lectures should be made available to chapters to show during their monthly general meeting. The shorter answer is, yep, they are. The virtual lectures that have been recorded are available at your monthly meeting. The longer answer is, the intent with the recorded virtual lectures is for everyone who views a virtual lecture to pay the $5 lecture fee as we share that revenue with the teachers. This is the same way we handle programs where everyone is stitching the same thing. Recall that each participant pays for their own pattern, which supports the teacher and respects the copyright. So if you want to offer a recorded lecture for your chapter meeting, this is the couple of steps you need to go. Each of the members who will be attending the meeting goes online, signs up to view a recording on the EGA website. Those people now have permission to view it however they want to. You show the recording to the group, each of whom has signed up. You are on the honor system, of course. But if you need help with that, you may contact the virtual lecture chair. The bonus to this approach is that in addition to viewing the lecture with the group, each member may view the lecture, each person who has signed up may view the lecture again as many times as they want to until it is no longer available. So there's a bonus, a plus to this side, and you can show it as a chapter meeting. The next question is from KP, a member of the Birmingham Needle Arts chapter. Question, actually a statement, virtual lecture recordings need to show the dates that are with the recording, question, virtual lecture recordings need to show the dates that the recording is available. We don't know when they time out, i.e. when they can no longer be ordered. Thank you for your suggestions. We have updated the lecture listings. You can see the date the recording is no longer available. Thank you, Rand. And the last question or comment is, if possible, I would like to see more classes by embroiderers like Trish Bird, Joe Butcher, and Lorna Bateman. Lorna Bateman is already in contact with us. She has given us at least 2 petite projects. So thank you for suggesting some additional teachers for us to contact. The next question is for Vicki, Director of Bylaws.
Thank you, Val. I always get the really interesting questions. This one is from Louise in Orange County. Why didn't the National Board submit a change on bylaws for changing the membership dues process to the membership prior to making a unilateral change? And you can see why the question is so interesting. She's asking about a change that was made, but she's also really asking about the process. How is it that we go about making changes in EGA? Let me just say, Louise, that the board did not go into making this change, which you refer to as unilateral, and I'm going to come back to that, with its eyes closed. You just heard from Christene, our secretary, that you can always access the minutes of the board meetings or the executive committee meetings online through the website, or you can ask her directly for them. And I'm looking at the minutes of the September 21st, 2023 executive committee meeting. The following motion was presented by Vicki and seconded by Pam to acknowledge that we are temporarily out of compliance with our bylaws and have a plan to get back into compliance. The EC states, A, we will be out of compliance with Article 3, Section 6, Paragraph A of the bylaws when the electronic dues payment system is adopted. B, we believe the reason for our temporary non-compliance, electronic dues paying, is compelling. And C, the issue will be resolved with bylaws amendments in 2024. The rationale behind that motion was to show complete transparency in our acknowledgement and correction of our non-compliance status. Now that's a lot of almost legal lingo that says the board is doing what the bylaws say it must. The bylaws say that the board is charged with managing the affairs of EGA. And in the estimation of last year's board, building on the work of all the volunteers in the Securing Our Future initiative, which is not just board members, it's, 50 plus members from the membership as a whole. Building on the work of the sub-team for electronic dues, it was a compelling time, the right time, to put electronic dues payments in place. And you've heard it referenced throughout this presentation this afternoon about the impact that it's had. I would like to think that the board wasn't making a unilateral change. Unilateral is a word that means one-sided. I would like to think that the board was making a change for the membership, that the board was leading in the direction that the membership would want to go. That said, I completely acknowledge your point, which is that we did make a unilateral change without going to the membership for a bylaws change. And I would only come back to our rationale to say that we thought that the reasons were compelling. And not that we would necessarily make that choice again, but that all of the initiatives that past President Karen Hamilton put forward through the Securing Our Future initiative continue to be things that we need to work on to move the needle, to move the organization forward. And I can only hope that the process will become more common, more easily understood by those of us who are leading it and the membership, because I can only expect that there will be more changes coming. So thank you, Louise. I really appreciate your question. And I think the last ones are for Wendy.
They are for Wendy, and I have 4 questions, so the end is near. But 2 of the questions are kind of lengthy. So I'm going to start with Jamie, who's a member at large, who asks, are there plans for online digital-only membership? And I guess that the good news is you can be a member at large and just online, but it's kind of hard to connect with other people. So there are 2 exclusively online chapters in EGA, Cyber Stitchers, which is in the Tennessee Valley region, and Pacific Chapter, which is in the Greater Pacific region. Now, if you join one of those 2 online chapters, you have to pay chapter and region dues in addition to your national dues. You can find those 2 chapters, Cyber Stitchers and Pacific, on the Find a Chapter page. Each is very different, so I encourage you to check them out. Attend a couple of meetings to see if their format is what you had in mind. We also have a number of chapters that are hybrid, and this is a tougher one to tell you about. Hybrid means different things in different chapters. It's a combination of being in person and on Zoom. So some people will attend in person, face-to-face, while others of us are sitting on a computer. But the things that are included on Zoom can be very different. They can include any and all of the following: business meetings, board meetings, programs, lectures, classes, book discussions. So what we're trying to do is figure out a way that we can capture what the hybrid offerings are for each chapter, and then include that information on the EGA USA website, because it would be very easy for a person from Canada, for example, to join a chapter in the US if it was a hybrid meeting that that member valued. I'd also encourage you to consider one of all of our online special interest groups. Val and I have been talking about them. Surface embroidery, beading, crazy quilting. A counted thread group will be started in January of 2025. If you're interested in any of those, and those are free, if you're interested in any of those, please send an email to marketing@egausa.org, letting us know what group you're interested in, and we'll add your name to the email list. Okay, the next question is from Linda from the Iris chapter, who asks, why do you feel it necessary to make a point of being all in for DEI? That stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Do you understand you are promoting Marxism? Are you just virtue signaling? Are you basically saying that people in HEA are racist, sexist, homophobic, etc.? If you continue pushing DEI ideology, I will no longer be able to be associated with EGA. I find it repugnant. So I read this question, and thank you, Linda, for asking us this. This is obviously a very upsetting topic for you. So thank you for sharing your concerns and questions. I'd like to try to explain EGA's position on diversity to the best of my ability. And I hope that this explanation will seem less offensive to you. In 2021, EGA introduced a statement called our IDEA statement. I talked about IDEA articles for the internet. And the statement says this: the Embroiderers Guild of America, EGA, is committed to providing a safe, inclusive, and supportive environment for stitchers of any experience level, age, race, ethnicity, nationality, ability, gender identity, sexual orientation, religion, or other background to develop their skills and express their creativity through the needle arts. EGA affirms its commitment to inclusion, diversity, equity, and accessibility, IDEA. This is part of our policies and procedures. You'll see it on every issue of Needle Arts. You should see it on our newsletters, our website. Why do we include this message? It's a message, first of all, to anyone who visits the website or reads our publications, that EGA is a safe and welcoming space. This is especially important for people who may feel like the others, you know, people who are afraid that they may not fit in for whatever reason. People in the chapters I've visited generally treat each other with respect and kindness. So I do not feel as if we are sexist, homophobic, or racist. I've seen people with disabilities, people with cognitive deficits, people on the spectrum of autism, people of different races, religions, people with no religion, people of different sexual orientation, ethnicities, and nationalities. They're all looked at as stitchers, embroiderers, first and foremost. We even allow both surface embroiderers and counted thread people to coexist in EGA. Our survey of lapsed or non-renewing members tells us we still have work to do with inclusion, and I mentioned this a little earlier. A significant number of people still report that they didn't renew because of the cliques or because people wouldn't talk to them or that people at meetings were rude. If confronted, I bet the people who were the bad actors would be stunned that that's how they were perceived. So how do we take a look at our behaviors and figure out what the turnoffs are? I bet the people who say they left because of this are people who look a lot like us. They aren't necessarily so diverse. And that was not the reason why they left. We need to crack the code on this politeness thing and this kindness thing. And I know that we can do it in order to retain the members that we have. So again, Linda, important questions, and I'm sure you're not alone in your feeling of confusion around this. The fact that we're having certain blog postings in the inclusion, diversity, and equity and accessibility framework are because we want to hear from some of those less heard from areas of embroidery. So thank you for that. The next two are related questions in a sense. Would EGA consider offering Denise from the Three Rivers chapter asks, would the EGA consider offering a junior membership for young people ages 8 to 18? And the answer is EGA already offers a youth membership to persons aged 7 to 17, although Rand and I found out in researching this question that sometimes we say that you have to be 10, but we do allow members as young as 7. National dues are $15 for youth, plus chapter and region dues. Membership includes access to Needle Arts magazine online only, but all other membership benefits. So they can access petite projects, they get a membership number, they can sign up for classes, they can get a hold of our free resources. So that's for youth membership. And new in 2024, we also offered a young adult membership for persons aged 18 to 25. We're trying to attract these younger members. And we think that this would be a good opportunity for us to look into recruiting at colleges. National dues for the young adults are $30 plus the chapter and region dues, and include an online subscription to Needle Arts. Now, if any of the youth or the young adults wants to get a print copy of Needle Arts, they have to pay the full national $55 dues plus chapter and region dues if they belong to chapter. Staying on the issue of youth, Kristen from the Camellia chapter asks, in the past years, there have been EGA chapters who were forced to close due to the aging of their membership and due to no new members joining the particular local chapter. It is imperative for new members to join local chapters in order to keep the Embroiderers Guild of America vibrant and growing into the future. Youth members are an important resource for future new members in local EGA chapters. 3 questions. 1, what is being done to encourage local EGA chapters to reach out and teach youth ages 9 to 14? 2, what programs and resources does EGA offer to youth 9 to 14 to encourage them to learn needlework skills and to become a youth member of EGA? 3, in planning future EGA national seminars, how does EGA plan to include and recognize the youth members of EGA in the EGA national seminars? Well, one of the exciting things is Ina Gibson, the incoming Director of Membership and Marketing, has as one of her most important initiatives is growing the younger membership contingent. So we were collecting information about members who are willing to help in that initiative. With the Securing Our Future projects going on, we did not have an opportunity to build that out as much as we would have liked to. I know Ina will want to focus on that, so I've got to get her the names of all of those interested parties. But there are several resources that we've added to the EGA USA website to help chapters plan programming for youth. The Green Mountain chapter donated the Toys program for us, the Teaching Our Youth Stitching, and the Fort Worth chapter donated the program they developed to teach Girl Scouts how to cross stitch. And those resources are on the EGA USA website under youth. Now, we recognize that more needs to be developed to help those chapters identify it. So how do we find these young people? How do we find these youth? And these are good questions. How do we find the groups? People have reached out to Girl Scouts and nobody gets back to them, so how do we get their buy-in? What are age-appropriate programs for different groups? These are good questions. How do we get on campuses to stimulate interest among college-age people? Virginia Tech started a chapter. So how did they do that? And Ina is already working on that. These are all good questions. So Ina, the best of luck to you. We will support you with all of this. So we're going to look for more activity in this area. I did reach out to the National Seminar Committee, to Lori Welker and to Trudy Pohawpatchoko, our VP, to see if the National Seminar Committee is planning on doing anything to engage young stitchers. And they both said, not currently, but like the light bulb popped on in both their heads and it's going, what does this look like? What are the things that people think we should be doing at National Seminar? Is it going to be exhibiting work of our young stitchers? Will it be inviting young stitchers to come to the seminar? So how do we go about this? So, this is within the last 24 hours. Those seeds have been planted. Thank you, Kristen, for thinking of that. And I would recommend anybody who has ideas to send their recommendations to vp@egausa.org. And with that, we are done with questions.
Thank you all very much for the questions. We appreciate them very much. And we're almost at the end of our meeting. But before we conclude, we need to say goodbye to Val and Pam and Wendy and Karen. We're going to miss you very much, and we appreciate all the time that you have given to this organization. With that said, we will see you next spring. Thank you. Bye-bye.